Okay, I got it there, Bobby. Mark on from the
Yep.
Buffalo News. Uh, could you just comment on obviously you Miami's longest completion, I think, was 21 yards. Could you comment on the secondary playing assignment sound football and what you think of Hamlin and Rapp and how they helped keep top on the defense?
Yeah, I think the first thing that you talk about is, I think, part of um, our job as a coaching staff is to provide a plan, and not only what the plan is, but the why. And obviously, Miami, you look at the week before, there were three plays, I believe, that went for 150 yards and something like that. And obviously, that was a big factor in them um, being able to win that game. And we've played them plenty of times. We know the lifeblood of that offensive program is explosive plays. So for the guys to understand what we were trying to get accomplished and execute that is a credit to our players. And then as far as T-Rap and DeMar, sometimes um, with the way we do things, depending on the position and those type of things, it might not be the most point of attack job that you might have in a certain week or in a certain scheme in a certain call, whatever that may be. So, um, you know, their job truly this week, for the most part, was to be a safety, which, you are the safety of the defense. So making sure we were keeping a roof over everything, keeping the ball in front of us was one of our big things. And they did a great job of that. And tackled, um, from what I've seen so far, it looks like they tackle pretty well.
Thank you.
Hey Bobby, I was curious
Good point.
hey, how are you?
Good.
I was curious we talked about when Matt got injured, like the toll of that personally, and then to see Terrell obviously get injured last night as well. Kind of for you, what was that like? And to kind of see another one of you guys go down like that.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to see that. You feel terrible for them. I think what a lot of people don't realize is the amount of work that goes in their lives when they're not in this building and they're wherever they live in the off season, and all the work that they put in there. And even to, it's still part of their job when they're away from here. And you put in a lot of work. We do training camp. Obviously we have, you sacrifice and come back here for the spring and, all those type of things. So that's obviously, you see just the work that guys put in, and you hate, when they're not able to play, because this is what they do it for. They do it for Sundays and the opportunity to play for a championship. So obviously feel terrible for him, but he'll approach it the right way. We'll get him back when he's ready, and we'll be rocking and rolling.
How is he doing, if you don't mind? Like, have you been able to like talk with him since?
Yeah, I think he's, with a lot of our guys are just, they're so caught up in the process. They're literally day by day. I know the other day, I said something to Taron even, and he was like, "I'm just worried about today." So that's a credit to, our culture. So that's the way we go about things.
And then related to that, how did you see Balin kind of perform when he had to step in there and take over?
Yeah, I think Balin did a good job. It's ironic. I don't know. I mean, in his mind, and I think he did a pretty good job, as he did last year in Miami. So um, um, that's just goes to show you. I mean, that sound like a broken record. That's how we do things here. You got to be ready to go, and um, we pour into those guys, into those backups, to make sure that we get a high level of execution.
Since Balin's kind of been there, and obviously he's dealt with a lot of injuries along the way, but like, how have you kind of seen him develop? He's kind of someone, who hasn't had as much playing time, but like, what do you have seen from him? Like, how has he developed over the couple of years?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I think Balin's really starting to understand, his body and what he needs to be able to be available. And then just another year, and he just, another year, like all these guys, to get more comfortable in the system and, challenge him. Me personally, when I was the linebackers coach, I challenged him to be in control of our operation and run the operation like a Mike linebacker does for the Buffalo Bills. And, he's shown that he can do that. And, really proud of him.
Thanks, Bobby.
You got it.
Coach Babich, Mookie Arkins, Waffle Sports
Mookie?
80. Congrats on the win, my guy.
Appreciate you, man.
SFP. You down with SFP?
I'm down with SFP.
Absolutely. Hey, just care to talk about the consistent play of Cam Lewis, because really no one's really talking about his role and the things that he's been able to do the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, the way Cam Lewis is playing for us is not a surprise. I don't think anybody in this building would be surprised. I think it's just about his opportunities that he gets. Taron's played a lot of football, and it's at the same position that Cam plays, and Cam's done a great job, and we're going to continue to see growth. There's a lot of things he can even improve on from last night, but Cam's a football player. I mean, he's a dang good football player, and they come in all shapes and sizes, and he's getting his opportunity, and I think everybody's seeing what we see all the time in practice, and whether you guys are at training camp, you see it, or spring ball, whatever it is. So really happy for Cam.
Coach, I mean, chunk plays, you hear it a lot on the offensive side, but chunk plays on the defensive side. I mean, whether it's sacks, tackles for loss, especially on fourth down with Ed Oliver and those guys, and obviously the turnovers. Let's care to talk about what really goes into getting those chunk plays on defense.
Yeah, well, first off, Mookie, I'm going to correct you. They're called takeaways because we take it away from the offense. They don't turn it over. No, I mean, I think it's and I think I heard Jamarcus say it in his press conference. It's about just putting yourself in the right positions, not only with execution of our defense, but with the technique you're using. And then when the ball shows up, it's your job to take advantage of it. If for instance, for whatever move Ed used on that 4th and 2 sack, he's got to put himself in position to execute that. And we've got to have the coverage that ties in to get the quarterback to hold the ball maybe half a second, 0.4 of a second longer. And, and that's the rushing coverage working together. And then, we always talk about, guys joke because I always use different numbers, but at night, running to the ball, as simple as that is, running to the ball. It might not be the 18th time. It might not be the 19th time you run to the ball, but the 20th time you run to the ball, the ball's going to show up. So it might not be the 70th time. It might be the 71st time. So, the more you can put yourself in position around the football, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely, Coach. And I know, you and Coach McDaniel are very close friends. And, Miami has a high-power scoring offense, man. You calling plays in your second game. When did you get a feel for what was Coach McDaniel was trying to play you?
I had a pretty good feel going into it. Spent a lot of time trying to find some things that would stick out, to us as a defense, and trying to put our guys in position. But, I think the game declared maybe a little bit earlier than it did last week, and it helps when you have a 2024 game to look at, before the opening, as opposed to the opening game. But, I think it declared pretty early, had a pretty good feel. And, there's some other things that we had to adjust to as the game went on. But no, it's credit to the coaching staff, the great communication. Obviously, Sean's involved too. So it's a collective effort. So good job by everybody involved.
Absolutely, man. Have a great week of practice. Appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Bobby, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. What have you seen from Ed Oliver the first couple of games? He seemed like he made a couple of plays in the backfield last night.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is Ed getting into a rhythm, and I had a talk with Ed, and, Ed wants to be great. Ed wants to, but Ed Oliver is good enough. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to go outside of who he is. And that's all our players, though. Like, you guys are, these guys are good enough. You don't have to be anybody but yourself. So, no, I just think what you saw was he got in a pretty good rhythm there. I don't know the exact time of the game, but I started to feel that he was getting into his groove, getting into his rhythm, and it was great to see. Ed's a really good player, and it's been cool, man. I've developed a relationship with Ed that maybe I haven't had before because I wasn't as involved, with the D line. But it's really cool to see. Really cool to see. He's an intentional person about what he wants to be.
Sorry about that. You referenced having a talk with him. Was that after the opener, and was he maybe?
No, it's all the time.
Okay.
It's just a constant communication. Try to have constant communication with guys, or whatever that may, whatever different point, topic, whatever it may be. It's per player, and my message to him was before this last game was, hey, Ed Oliver is good enough. You just do what Ed Oliver does, and we'll be in good shape.
He's a top 10 pick. A lot is expected of him. He had a big year last year. It kind of sounds like you're guarding against him putting too much pressure on himself. Is that accurate?
I think most players that want to be great put too much pressure on themselves, and there's probably at different levels. But it really, what we are as coaches is we're when things get shaky, it's our job as coaches, or when things get too hectic, it's our job as coaches to bring them back down to where we can make it simpler for them. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
How I'm describing that, man? And you really, as a coach, you try to head things off or cut things off before they actually get there. So try to stay ahead of the the chaos that is football. And we just played an offense that really pre-snap is a lot of chaos, so you really just try to stay ahead of that is really the point there. And just try to help guys and help give guys tools to really calm things down when the water gets rocky.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep, you got it.
Good afternoon, Coach George Redney, Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon?
Good. How are you, George?
Great. Having a great day.
Awesome.
Question. Yes, indeed. How much does Taron Johnson mean to the defensive front? What he does week in and week out?
Daquan is, he's a very important piece to what we do. Not only is he a good football player, but he's a veteran presence in the defensive line room who's a football guy. He's a football junkie. So he can help those younger guys with things that he's seeing and, and the way he sees the game and, provide a little leadership in that room. So he's a very important piece to what we do.
Excellent. And last but not it looked like the Miami Dolphins looked like that game they played Sunday against Jacksonville took an awful lot out of them, more than it took out of your guys. It seemed like they never could get their legs going in that game. They looked slow the entire game last night. Was that something you might have seen and maybe helped you make adjustments on defense to take advantage of that?
No, they're very fast.
They were still fast as they normally would be any given.
They're fast. They are fast. They are fast,
okay.
And they're fast all the time.
Oh, okay. It wasn't no drop off last night.
No.
Okay. Okay. Just looked a little slow.
No.
All right. Hey, last but not least, on the linebackers, do you see? I asked head coach Sean McDermott earlier. Now you're seeing more and more teams running the football. You only had 300-yard passers at the end of the first week of the regular season. Do you see the linebacker position going back to where it used to be, where you're getting bigger linebackers in there to combat the power rushers that teams are now starting to throw at you at defenses once again?
I'll go, I'll just speak about the Buffalo Bills, but we have a certain profile, George, and I think you know what that is. We've talked about it before, that we look for and the way the game is trending. And I think every organization is different. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in general. For us, we believe we have what's right for us and what we try to target for us. But, in the end, we just want to end up with really good football players that can help play the run and the pass.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck next week.
You got it. Thank you.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you for your time, Bobby.
All right. Thank you, guys.